פרק שלישי, third chapter, Mishnah א', first Mishnah. Big introduction for this Mishnah. כבר הזכרנו בפתיחה למסכתנו. We already established in the beginning of the מסכת, we mentioned it, שאף על פי שהותרו ביום טוב מלאכות שהם לצורך אוכל נפש, we already discovered that for Yom Tov you're allowed to do things for cooking. Anything that has to do with food, you're allowed to do. And later on we said that the house of Hillel, he says, once we permitted fire for cooking, we also permitted fire for other things also. But over here, but anything for cooking, for sure you're allowed to do. So he says, don't jump into conclusion. No, it's not true. Not everything to do with cooking you're allowed to do. Let's see. מכל מקום, יש מלאכות שהן אסורות ביום טוב. Nevertheless, we're going to tell you some things on Yom Tov do not do. You're not allowed to do. אף שעשיותם לצורך אכילה. For example, even if you're doing it for eating. For example, shechting you're allowed to. Right? You're allowed to shecht in Yom Tov. But you know what you're not allowed to do? כגון קצירה. You want to go after your field. You want to harvest the wheat.
Oh, to make bread.
Yeah, you want to harvest the wheat. I want fresh bread. I want to do it. I want to harvest the wheat. Yeah. Says all of a sudden it says no. That you know no. That has to be prepared beforehand. You cannot go harvest the wheat. You can shech, but not harvest the wheat. Yeah. שכגון קצירה, for example, which one you're not allowed to do? You're not allowed to cut the wheat, disha, separate the chaff and the bad part and the good part. Imur, you're not allowed to take the wheat into piles. Vetrina, you're not allowed to grind the wheat. You have to have flour. You cannot start grinding wheat before Shabbos. Yeah, not allowed to. טעמים שונים נאמרו ומפרשים על כך. There's many reasons that it was given. Look in the beginning, it says, it's going to tell you some of the reasons according to the Rambam. בירושלמי מובן בשם ריש לקיש. ירושלמי gives the reason for it like this, in the name of ריש לקיש. אך אשר יאכל לכל נפש, הוא לבדו יעשה לכם. It says, look at the sentence. It says, whatever is going to be eaten to any soul, he by itself should be done to you. וסמוך לו נאמר, and ריש לקיש says, next to this sentence, there's another sentence. What's the next sentence? ושמרתם את המצוות. It says, and you should guard the commandments. So it says, why does it put, and you should guard the commandments? It says, don't worry about the commandments. You're making food. And then it says, no. You make the food, but you should guard the commandments. So what does that mean? It's either I'm allowed to or I'm not allowed to. So what do I learn from it? So it says, כל שהוא משימור מצה ואילך. משימור מצה ואילך. So it says, he learns it from anything it is from the guarding of matzah and onwards. כלומר, מלאכות שמשמירת המצוות, המצות ואילך. So he learned, ושמרתם את המצוות. He learns, he reads it, ושמרתם את המצות. The bread, the matzah. And you should guard the matzah. In other words, from the process that you make the matzah. In other words, you have to have all the ingredients for matzah already. You're not allowed to have... That's the way he learns it. Hainu. So it says, so this is what I'm going to allow you to do. I'm only going to allow you to work with the ingredients, not to make the ingredients. You're not allowed to make the ingredients. Because if you think about it, here we go. Even for shechting, you have the same problem. I'll give you an example. I want to shecht in Yom Tov, right? So I take a knife and I go to shecht. I find that I don't have a knife. So maybe now I'm allowed to take metal, heat it up, and make a knife. And now to make the metal, I need to build a furnace. So I don't have a furnace. So I can get a tractor, go to mine, take metal out from the ground. No, it has to be, where's the beginning? So it says the beginning is you have the ingredients ready. You cannot make the ingredients. The ingredients have to be done. You have the ingredients in Shchita. It is ready. The cow is right there. It's ready. כל שהוא משימור מצה ואילך, כלומר מלאכות שמשמירת המצה ואילך. היינו, so what we are going to permit you to do, לישה, to knead the dough, והמלאכות הבאות אחריה, and anything after kneading the dough, מותרות לעשותם ביום טוב. That you're allowed to make in יום טוב. משום צורך אוכל, because of eating. אבל המלאכות שלפני האלישה אסורות, but anything else to bring to the ingredients before making the dough, that you're not allowed to do. ומבאר המאירי, the מאירי explains, שהאלישה וכל מה שאחריה היא מלאכה להכשר אוכלין. The Meiri explains that look what we permit you. We permit you to make the food possible to be eaten. That's what we permit you. אבל הקצירה והדישה והאימור וכל כיוצא בהם אינם הכשר אוכל. But they are not, in other words,
You can make the ingredients. You have to have the ingredient ready.
that's right. In other words, you can't eat it. Let's say I'll let you harvest, I'll let you do grind, I'll let you make flour even. Can you make something from it now? Can you eat it? No, you can't eat flour.
Oh, you make.
So the things that only the things that makes it into food you're allowed to do, not the previous process. אבל והרי הם בכלל מלאכת עבודה, and this is considered to be part of the work. Like we said, go to the mine and bring a metal to shecht, and that's not allowed to. You're not allowed to mine on Shabbat, on Yom Tov. שהרי כל אותם מלאכות אדם עושה אותם בזמן אחד לימים רבים. And also, it says, how can you know? Because all those melachot, you don't cook. In other words, it's not the start of the bread. What do I mean? With the start of the bread is I'm going to take these ingredients and make bread today. When you harvest, you don't make bread from that harvest. You put it there. So it means no one goes out to the field and harvests and make bread from that. It's something you do much before. You make a large amount, like metal for the knife. Nobody is going to make, I need to shecht, I'm going to make metal for the knife. No, you make metal from beforehand. It's not something you do on that day.
You have a tendency.
That's right. מה שאין כן הלישה והמלאכות של אחר, but making the dough and everything else, that you have to do in that day, because you want to eat fresh bread. כולם נעשות לצורך שעה. All of them are done for that moment. So we see, when we say you're allowed to do everything on Yom Tov, it's not really everything. It's everything that has to do with the food directly, not the things before. והראש כותב, and the Rosh writes, שחכמים גזרו על קצירה ובצירה ותחינה. It says, the sages made a decree on the harvesting and the grinding and on so, לפי שהאדם רגיל לבצור כרמו כאחד, ולקצור שדהו כאחד, ולטחון הרבה ביחד, ולטחון לא חלק אחד. Because it says, nobody makes wine, he takes grapes, 5 grapes, and he makes a cup of wine, and he makes it, that's what you do. You do it all in batches. Yeah, the things that you make to eat now, for today, those you're allowed to do. Anything that you make big groups before, you have to do before. הילקח אסור כל המלאכות האלה. Therefore they forbade all these kind of works, שדומות הם למעשים של חול, because you're making it similar to חול. So according to the Meiri, according to the Rosh, it's only the Rabbanan. According to what we said before, according to the Rambam, it's from the Torah. The Rosh said it's only the Gzera of the Rabbanan. That's instancing. משנתנו בא ללמד, our Mishnah comes to teach, שאף הצידה אסורה ביום טוב אפילו לצורך אוכל נפש. Now we're going to come to have our problem over here. What about hunting? Hunting on Yom Tov. He says, if I'm allowed to go shecht, maybe I'm allowed to go hunt.
למדנו כבר שהאוכל צריך להיות מוכן, מזומן.
אוכל מזומן.
הקמח צריך להיות מזומן, אתה יכול לעשות מזה ברד, אבל אם הוא לא מזומן, אתה לא יכול ללכת ולחפור ולעשות.
Oh, so in your yard.
So if you don't have the behema, היא צריכה להיות מוכנה. Then go and catch it.
Very good. So I have, and this is the thing, I live in Texas. I have 40 acres. And I have the cows going around in 20 acres.
And you have to run after her.
So I have to go after I don't have to run, she comes. I go up to her and I take her, right? What about if I have a deer though?
If you have a deer.
Yeah.
He come to you?
It's a deer, it's wild. It just jumped over the fence and now it's within your area. Am I allowed to go hunt it?
You take him and you shecht him.
Yeah. So it looks like maybe it's the same.
Why not?
Right, it's in your...
Mezouman,
right? That's are you allowed to go hunt now? Go on a hunt for a deer? You're allowed to do that?
No, you didn't go to hunt. The deer was מזומן אצלך.
What does it mean mezuman? And if you have 100 acres, it's mezuman still? If you have 5,000 acres, it's still mezuman?
You mean that you want to go run after him and...
I need to catch him, yeah. It's 5,000 acres. It's, you know what, 1,000,000 acres.
No, you can't do it.
Oh, so the question is, when am I allowed to do it? That's the question. When are you allowed to hunt? Yeah. So let's get an example. En tzadim dagim ben habeivarim. Now, you're not allowed to fish for fish from the fish pools. Let's explain what's the fish pools. What they used to do is they used to divert the river, for example, into certain pools, right? The fish will get inside, and then when they will want, they will come and use a net from the things. But it's a big pool. It's not like easy. You have to go fish for it with a net. You have to do something. Yeah. So he says, is it called hunting now? Are you hunting now or are you not hunting now? What is it called? Yeah. So he says, you don't know how to do that. Shel dagim. Ve'brechot mayim, there are pools of water shemegadlim b'hem dagim b'yom tov, that you grow fish in Yom Tov. Now, I don't think it's the ones that today do. The ones that today, you can touch the fish. There were like millions of fish in one place. Talking about the old time. They will make a pool and they will grow their own fish over there. So they will have always fish. It's like, grow your own chickens. They will grow their own fish. But it wasn't like today that, it's only fish in this much water. It was a lot of water and a little fish. Yeah. Sho'il, it says, why are you not allowed to do it? Sho'il ve'efsher letzuda me'erev Yom Tov. Since you can capture them from before Yom Tov, asur letzudam beYom Tov. You're not allowed to catch them in Yom Tov. Ve'yesh mevarim atam, and there are those who explains the reason. Some says that's not the reason. Because it says, think about what you're doing. You are doing the same thing with the bread. You're harvesting. Fish are called harvest of the sea. In other words, you're cutting the grains. It says, that's why you're not allowed to. It's like cutting the grains. Lefi שהצידה דומה לקצירה. Because hunting over here is similar to harvesting. שעקירת דבר ממקום גידולו. How is it similar? You're taking the thing from where it lives. The wheat lives on the stalk. The fish lives in the pool. הילקח דינה כקצירה. Therefore, we're going to consider it as like harvesting. שאסורה היא ביום טוב. And for many reasons we learned before, if it's the Rabbanan or the Oraisa, but nevertheless it's not provided on Yom Tov. ולדעת הראש, according to the Rosh, so this is according to the first opinion that says from the Oraita, and the Rosh that says it's only the Rabbanan, the harvesting. ולדעת הראש, חכמים אסרו צידה ביום טוב, the sages prohibited hunting on Yom Tov, מאותו טעם שאסרו קצירה וטחינה. From the same reason they did not permit cutting down the wheat and grinding it. שפעמים תעלה מצודתו דגים הרבה, because many times when you put a net, he's not going to get one fish, he's going to get 50 fishes. וכמעשה של חול הוא, and then it looks like he's walking. Not just he's want to eat. You put a net through, to catch one fish, you might get 70 or 20 or 10 because it's a pool. Yeah, and then it looks like you're doing business. So that's why we don't allow you. Okay. According to the Rosh, it says only at the Gzera. And not only that, so since the whole thing over here right now, the whole process is tzeda, so it means the fish is muktzeh. The whole thing is muktzeh. If it's muktzeh now, the fish itself is muktzeh, you're not allowed to feed it. It becomes muktzeh. ואין נותנים לפניהם, לפני הדגים מזונות. Therefore, you're not allowed to feed the fish. ביום טוב. Why you're not allowed to feed them? שמא יבוא לצודם. Because once you feed them, you're going to hunt them. It's one of the things. Fish can survive 24 hours without food. Nothing going to happen, by the way. ועוד שמוצאים מהם את מזונותיהם בבריכה. And also, it's not necessary. You just want them fat. That's why you want to feed them. But otherwise, it's not like they're going to die. Yeah? ואין צורך ליתן להם מזונות. There's no reason to start feeding them grain when they're going to be alive anyway. The reason why you're feeding them grain, because you want them nice and fat. But it's not necessary. But, let's see what. אבל צדים חיה ועוף מן הבאיברים. But let's say your wife wants one of the goats. You just said goats, right? So your wife wants now, Pesach is coming, she wants one of the goats. So are you allowed to go into the goat area and take a goat?
No,
Maybe it's hunting also.
maybe it's hunting. Depends what you have to do
So,
to catch it.
so the question is, how much work do you have to do before it's considered to be hunting? In other words, what kind of an area is it before I tell you, no. If you didn't take the cow from 50 acres and now you're running after it, who says you're allowed to?
Take you 5 hours to get it.
Yeah, exactly. What do you mean? Who says? Let's see. אבל צדין חיה ועוף מן הביברים. And you are allowed to take animals and birds from the locked places, של חיות ועופות, of animals and birds, והם, and those are, כרכיפות המוקפים גדר סביב. In other words, you put them in kind of a boundary, not in a big area, שמגדלים שם חיות ועופות, that you grow over there animals and birds. For example, your animal house, yeah, or the chicken coop. You're allowed to do, even though you have to move a little bit to catch it. You can go get a chicken, that's it. והם עומדים לאכילה. And why? Because they are specified to be eating. That's why they're there. It's not like today people have it for, for pets. People didn't grow chickens for pets. That's what it's for. Its purpose. Its purpose is that you're going to eat it. וכיוון שמזומנים הם לאדם וקל לצודם. So first of all, you have in mind this is food, and second of all, it's easy to catch them. It's not in a very big area, because once it becomes in a very big area, for example, your goats, if they're not right there, if you put them in all your yard, you're not allowed to go catch them in Yom Tov. You have to run all over the yard. That's not called kal letzudam. Yeah, kal letzudam is in the place. Yeah, you have to run a little bit, but it's still easy to catch them. Therefore, mutar letzudam b'Yom Tov. Therefore, you're allowed to hunt them in Yom Tov. ויש מפרשים, there are those who explain, שמדובר כאן בחיה ועוף שהכינה מערב יום טוב, לשחטם ביום טוב. So over here we're talking about an animal or a bird that even if it's wild, you had to think about it before Yom Tov that you're going to eat on Yom Tov. ונותנים לפניהם מזונות. And if you didn't feed the deer, then for sure, forget about it at all. It's in other words, it might be a wild animal, but it's a wild animal that you feed him because you're about to kill it. That's the only reason. שהואיל ורשאי לתלם, so since you're allowed to eat them, once you're allowed to eat them, you're allowed to give them food. If you're not allowed to eat them, you're not allowed to give them food. In other words, it comes out that...
You can give them food. What do you mean? You can eat your animals. You can feed your animal in Yom Tov.
For example, I'll give you an example. Birds, wild birds. On Yom Tov, you're not allowed to put food in front of them because they're not mezumanim for eating. You didn't think about them that you're going to eat them. Your chicken, you're allowed to give them on Yom Tov because it's possible to eat the chicken theoretically. Yeah. Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel Rabban Shimon says, don't jump into conclusion yet. לא כל הביברים שווים. It says, hold on 1 second. It says, not all places you put the animals are equal. And even though you have a fence and the animal cannot run, if the fence is too big, in other words, you have to run too much, I'm still not allowed to give you. I'm still not going to let you do it. יש מפרשים שרבן שמעון בן גמליאל אינו בא לחלוק אל תנא קמא, אלא לפרש את דבריו. There are those who says that Rabban Gamliel just explains how big does this area needs to be. זה הכלל. So this is the rule according to Rabban Shimon ben Gamliel. כל המחוסר צידה, the rule is like this. Anything that you cannot capture it very easily, what does it mean you cannot capture it very easily? שצריך לטרוח הרבה כדי לתפסו. You need to run around in order to catch it. ובגברה מבואר, כל שאומר הווה מצודה וניצודונו. It means that a normal person on a weekday will use a tool. If you say, let's use a tool on a weekday in order to catch that animal, it's not considered captured. For example, a board. you'll use, for example, in goats, right? You will take big 2x4s and you will walk with the 2x4 in order to put it in the corner. And without it, you're not going to do it. Without this 2x4, you're not going to run around because it's too much work. Then it's not considered. Then it is considered hunting on Yom Tov. But if you walk on a regular day and you just grab it, then you can do it. But if you're going to
take tools and
that's right. That's right. If you on a regular day, you would need. Even you can do it without the tool, but you would use the tool on a regular day. That's considered not good already. אסור לצודו ביום טוב, you're not allowed to hunt in יום טוב, מהטעמים שהבאנו לעיל, ושאינו מחוסר צידה, and that it is easy to hunt. What does it mean? שאפשר לתפסו בריצה אחת, that you just go one step and catch it, then good. If you're going to start running around, forget about it. It's even though it's a small area, you can catch it. It's considered to be for you hunting. מותר לצודו ביום טוב. You're allowed to then, if you can grab it in one shot, then you're allowed to hunt it on יום טוב. הרמב"ם מפרש. So the Rambam writes, כל שהוא מחוסר צידה. The Rambam gives the definition. What does it mean, easy to hunt or not easy to hunt? So it's not easy to hunt, he says, הרי זה מוקצה. Once it's not easy to hunt, it becomes מוקצה. You cannot eat it on יום טוב now. ואין צדים אותו ביום טוב. And you're not allowed to hunt in Yom Tov. וכל שאינו מחוזר צידה, הרי זה מוכן. And anything that you can grab in one shot, then that's prepared for food already. וצדים אותו ביום טוב ואוכלים אותו. Therefore you're allowed to hunt it in יום טוב and you're allowed to eat it. משהו מדברי הרמב"ם, so it looks from the words of the Rambam, שזה הכלל, that when we say this is the rule, מוסב על כל מה ששנינו משנתנו, goes on everything that we learned in the Mishnah. Whatever you can catch, whatever you can't. היינו אף על דגים. So he says the same thing with fish. If you come to a fish pool with a lot of fish, you can just grab a fish, take it out. You're allowed to do. Like, but you're allowed to do. Why? Because it's not ktsira, because it's ready to eat.
You just take it.
When does it become moktzira? When you have to hunt for it. Then it becomes moktzira.
If I prepare it from erev,
doesn't matter.
I put it in a net inside the water. All I do is come bring the net out.
Then it's not mechusar tzeda. You put it in a smaller place. Yeah, the modern fish pools are not mechusarot tzeda. The older fish pools are mechusarot tzeda. You can see it. The modern ones, they keep them alive in this much water. I don't know how they do that. You can just go and touch the fish like this. In the old pools, you couldn't touch the fish. You had to go put a net in order to take them out. אבל לדעת הרייבד, but according to the רייבד, מוסבים דברי רבן שמעון גמליאל חייב עוף בלבד. But some say, like you say, no, fish is a different animal. Let's separate fish and animals and birds. אבל דגים לעולם אין צדים ביום טוב. He says fish are never going to be allowed to be יום טוב, אפילו בבראים קטנים, even in small places. Why? And he says because you can't see them. In other words, your eye is not. You cannot say, this is my food. You cannot say, and this is my food, because you cannot see them. It's like another aspect of it. He says, once you cannot see it, you cannot tell me that you're thinking about it for food. Things that you can see, potentially see, those are food. These are hidden. It's not considered food. לפי שמכוסים מן העין, because they are not seen in the eye, ויש צורך לצודם, and it's harder to catch them.
But we don't know the halacha.
No, we don't know if fish is like this or not like this. But there is some opinion, it looks like for him, that even in modern pools, there's an opinion, the Ravid says, you're not allowed to fish it. The first opinion says, modern pools, you'll be allowed to take a fish out. The Ravid says, even in modern pools, you won't be allowed to. Even though it's easy to take, you're not allowed to. Just because it's away from the eye.